let's go in Whole Foods. I was in Portland anyway, so I thought I'd stop here. Last time I went in Trader Joe's. Here we've got green garlic. This doesn't look like garlic at all to me, but I'm going to get it. Looks like leeks to me, but we'll try it. See the color, the bluish? That means this is starting to bolt already. So you're going to have to use that right off when you get it. And here's ramps, local ramps. That's neat. Ramps have an unusual flavor in between garlic and onions. Ooh, purple cauliflower, I think, or broccoli. I think it was cauliflower. I'm going to get that. See what it's like. Carrots and all kinds of good things here. Broccoli. So we continue. All kinds of greens cut up already. Quite pricey. I can never normally, I can't imagine what it would cost to shop in the store when 6 kids were at home. But I wonder how many people are so into, health food or whatever, that they actually buy everything in stores like this. It'd be interesting to know. Because, of course, if you're vegan, they sell meat. If you're lactose intolerant, they sell milk, so it's like you can't look at the store and just think it's all, politically correct stuff. Seafood, the king crab legs looked really good, but I'm looking at shrimp prices right now. I think this is the only trick when you're buying some of the meats and the seafood and stuff, that you keep that portion size small and have other things to go with it, because you can't afford to fill yourself up on the main item. And some clams. But some of these catch my eye, the different frozen products here. And I pick one of these up to look at, but it weighs practically nothing, so for the price, it's going back. Low price, $4.97 or $4.79, I guess it said, but little too. I end up actually the next day, I bought popcorn chicken from Hannaford Brothers. No, popcorn chicken, sorry. Popcorn shrimp, which just basically means it's a smaller size shrimp, and they're coated. We put them in the oven. You can do air fryers too, I guess. I bought a used air fryer, but I kind of goofed when I bought it. It has really a kind of small chamber. And I paid too much for it. Here we got the meats. Wow, look at that. $10 a pound. Yikes. It's so funny. I could remember way back when, I would try to say under $1 a pound for any meats that I was buying. Now, occasionally, chicken will go down to 99 cents a pound, but you're that I wish I could date when I did that, but I don't think I can, kind of. But everything's gone up so high over the years. And two, we've seen recent spikes too, although the good news this month, I guess, is that this is May 2025, inflation had slowed a little. So it was the first time in what did they say, 5 years, it was lower than expectations. Here I'm actually getting some of the sausages and garlic, pork, and herb sausages. And if you hunt around, you'll see my video of making kind of a garlic lover's pizza with it. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of garlic in these sausages. So it's not for the faint of heart. You gotta really like garlic. And I probably could have got away with just one sausage, but it depends, I guess, how big your pizza is. And I don't know how many people you're gonna feed, but one would have been plenty because, like I say, it's had a pretty strong flavor. I also got the pizza dough from here, and it was like $2 more than a regular store. It was ancient grain, and really it was nothing special. So I'm going back to just making my own. Sometimes it's nice just to be lazy and you buy the dough and whatever and you throw it together. But it's really, I guess that's when I'm real lazy. It's not that much more work to set up the bread machine, put the things in, it does the mixing, and the first rise in my machine is 2 hours. And then you take it out and basically shape it into a pizza, let it rise for a while, put the toppings on, and then you're good to go. You're ready to eat. Drinks. Drinks are expensive here too. It's funny that the people who work here, or people that go here often or something, I don't know where I heard it, but they call the store Whole Paycheck. Yeah, it was from employees, that's what it was. Whole Paycheck, meaning if you shop there, the prices they're just too high. But obviously, the store is doing well. The chain got bought by Amazon, so you can use your Amazon card and here your store card. And there's some way to get a discount with it, but I don't know. There was some rigmarole you had to do. So credit cards are so dangerous too. Oh, we've got some bread. Ooh, I'm going to get a loaf of this bread. I'm trying the cheese bread. And I guess I finally convinced myself. It took a while because everybody says, oh, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good. I just don't like sourdough bread. I don't like the flavor of it. I don't like that sour taste. And it was pretty pronounced in this 4-cheese sourdough loaf that I bought. So now I may still go to the effort of trying to get my regular bread to be shaped, in that boil, they kind of call it, with the ear, that big slash, when it opens up. And that's like what it's supposed to look like. And people, believe it or not, they charge, $10 a loaf. There's someone in my area that cooks it, and if you want to buy a loaf, it's $10. I guess it just started out as a person liked to cook and make bread, but obviously if you're making bread, unless you got an army living with you, you're not going to go through a whole loaf. You might go through a loaf a day, I guess, but if you're someone who wants to cook a lot, like this person seemed to be, you end up selling it, and then, eventually probably you start thinking about actually doing it commercially. In other words, starting to cook a lot more to make money rather than just to, feed your hobby of buying flour and cooking bread. And what am I checking out here? But it's going back, I know that. I didn't buy that. And again, I'll just mention, this is a voiceover because there was music playing in the background, and the YouTube computers just catch that, and they'll say you can't do your video, can't put it online with ads, so you can't make a couple pennies with your video. So you have to go through this rigmarole. Although I must admit that they must have changed something about how much it can hear. If something's really in the background and I can still hear it, sometimes now the YouTube computers will pass on it. A lot of times before, I would put a video up and they say, no, it's copyright music. And I was like, where? Sometimes they tell you where it was. Other times they wouldn't. But sure enough, I'd go back to that part in the video and I would hear that music playing in the background. I didn't hear it while I was filming. Ooh. And I didn't hear it while I was editing either. It was that subtle. Here we go. We're getting, and now here, the Ancient Dough, $4.99. I'm looking at different ones, but I settle on this Ancient Dough one to try. But like I say, I've never figured out how much it costs me to make a pizza, but usually if I buy one, I'm spending from $2 to $2.99 at Hannaford's. So you can see here, this is $4.99, so that's almost double, or double or a little less, depending on what doughs I would have bought. And but I like to try new things once in a while. And I think sometimes with buying something pre-made like that, I can decide whether I like it or not. In other words, right off the bat, I would say that the Ancient Grain pizza, at least the recipe they used, dough is just not something I'd try to make myself, because it wasn't that different from what I make. It wasn't like, oh boy, the crust in this is good. That didn't happen. So I managed to hit the time of day in the store where it wasn't really busy, which is always nice. I don't like to go into crowded stores. And even when I did my shopping, I would go, depending on when my wife has a healthcare worker that comes in the morning. So I typically have a couple hours that I can go out and run errands and do everything. But that meant that generally I would be hitting, if I was going to like a Walmart or something, I would be hitting the store shortly after it opened. And, there's just not that many people in there. It's kind of nice. One thing I mentioned that Whole Foods doesn't have, at least I couldn't see, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they don't have that many generic products. They have the 365 brand, I believe, is what they call kind of a generic. And but it's basically these name brand products. And so, of course, you get the fact that they're name brand, increasing the price, and the fact that they're, natural or eco-friendly, or there's some hook for them to be in the store. Although you do see some regular cereal in the store, so if you're, I forget which one it is, but I've seen Cheerios and another brand in some of the stores because they have no gluten, or another one has no wheat or something like that, but sometimes you will see them in there. There we go, busy place. Oh, that must be someone shopping for someone. That one too, with all those bags. Yeah, you order and come and pick it up. I don't know if they deliver, but it would make sense to me if they probably did. Pasta sauces. I've shared this before with my videos. I think whatever, you're buying a spaghetti type sauce, a red sauce that's made with tomatoes and everything, You can improve it greatly by putting it in a pan. You bring it up to like a boil. Then you add, I generally find I add per jar, I'd add a tablespoon of sugar, some oregano, and in another pan, or in this pan before I put the sauce in, I kind of said out of order, I get about 15 pepperonis, and I cut them up finely and put that in the pan first. And so you cook that until you start seeing it sweat. In other words, it's releasing some of the juices. Then you put in your spaghetti sauce, and then you can put in like a teaspoon of oregano, the tablespoon of sugar, and then you just cook it for you turn it down, of course. You have to watch it once in a while, but you put a cover on it, and you let that cook. Ideally, it can be cooking for an hour or two. It drastically improves the flavor of the sauce in my thing. But I'll admit, I'm not a tomato taste person, so I like the sauce thoroughly cooked. And my wife does too. She loves tomatoes, but she likes it better that way too. I mean, some people even put like practically big chunks of tomato on their pizzas, and I don't like that at all. I like, the only place I eat tomatoes raw would be in BLTs and, something that it's normally a part of. And there are plenty of other things in it too. It was funny, this time I was in the store, I had to go back and get something, and I didn't realize the store isn't actually that large compared to some of the other grocery stores and things. It's certainly larger than Trader Joe's, which is also in Portland. I normally only go to these stores when I'm in Portland anyway.
So, Matt Kennedy with you here. That was our little jaunt through Whole Foods. I got some ramps. Now, ramps are a kind of a wild onion of sorts. And to me, they have a unique taste. They taste in between garlic and onions. But if you cook them, they just taste like onions. So I don't see the point of using them in something cooked when you could use onions. It's interesting. These have the bulbs. They were $15 a pound, which I didn't get a pound, of course. But someone on Facebook Marketplace was selling them, but they were without the bulbs. So in other words, he had X number that he would actually harvest the entire plant, and the rest of them, he, cut them off and leave the bulb in the ground so it could grow again. Which, I don't know, that was $15. But to me, the part of the ramp you want is the bulb. So I figured this was wicked cheap. I got green garlic. I'm not quite sure what this is exactly. It looks like a, does it have anything now? It's a, in the onion family, that's for sure. Somehow it doesn't look like a garlic to me. I got purple broccoli, cauliflower. I got some sail cheese. I got some ancient grade pizza dough. We've got some roasted garlic Alfredo sauce too, so I could either go the route of, and I got sausages, some garlic and meat sausages. So I'm thinking that I will make a pizza. I'll use the ancient grain dough. I'll use that. I'm not sure if I'll use this because that might be too much garlic. Can you have too much garlic? I'm not sure. I could find out. But, I make my own bread, and sometimes I just like to buy things that are made already. And they had some artisan-type bread. You get to use the bread slicer. That's kind of neat. Probably people go in there just to slice the bread there to watch it. But we're going to have a taste test. Now, I don't have anything for liquid. Oh, I do have some ginger ale. But this is 4 cheese. And the guy said, you can see the cheese in it. He said this makes an outstanding toasted cheese sandwich, which I can believe. Very good. In this kind of artisan style, you have real chewy crust, and then you have the crumb is more or less open. You can see there's large holes in places. I'm going to work on making bread look like this, but it probably won't be sourdough. It will be regular bread. Very good. So there we go. But to do some price comparisons, like the pizza dough, if you buy Portland pie, which is made in Portland, it's not the generic, it might be $2.99. So this ancient grain one here is $2 more. But there we go. Something fun to try. And hopefully we'll follow up with a pizza video.